So you know who your divine person is, and nothing, no one can tell you otherwise. However, the question is, how are they showing up? How are they showing up for themselves, which in turn tells you how they'll be showing up for you. Okay. Karmic energies. When you're in a karmic connection, you're not necessarily going to be seeing it as a karmic connection, right? It's going to be truthfully filling you. I'm seeing just intoxicating yourself, right? Because your shadows are on loop in a karmic connection. You're getting away with all of that behavior that is actually is rooted in deep-rooted traumas, okay? So, eventually when you've healed through those cycles and you've already released and learned to let go of that connection, because you've healed through the kind of the wounds that drew you there in the first place, you will truly look back and think, my God, I will not allow that ever again for myself or from anyone else outside of me, right? However, at the time, it can truly feel like such heartbreak. Yeah, because you attach yourself to that other person. You've attached yourself to a specific outcome. When you're cycling in loop, whether it's kind of addictive behaviors, I'm hearing that intoxication for a reason, right? Whether it's just playing out your past in such a way that it feels more comfortable now as an adult, and someone's there beside you doing that with you. Yeah. It is almost like a comfort, but the issue with that is you're not evolving, you're not going through the cyclic process of healing so you can ascend, right? And really transcend past that version of you, because that version was not meant to stay. That version was meant to teach you so much about the world and the existence, of kind of the dark and the light outside of you and within you, right? And how to kind of bring yourself to such a space where you are in your soul sovereignty, is what I'm hearing, okay? So at the time, it can be really hard. I think the reason that this is coming through is because I think sometimes karmic energies and connections, especially for divine feminines, because divine feminines can often... Let me see the message first. So often karmic energies can be seen as really... almost like malicious or like evil or something. They're not supposed, that's not, usually it's not the intention. If that's the way that connection goes, because actually that is actually somebody who is genuinely emotionally manipulative and to such a degree that there's abuse, that kind of thing, then that's different. And I think sometimes karmic connections often are kind of have abusive in nature. The reason I'm tripping upon my words is making me think that somebody is trying to process or understand something to do with a karmic connection, and it's kind of like they're falling back on themselves again and again or something. It's like they're understanding it, but then it's like it goes on loop again in their brain, almost like a karmic connection which is on loop. You just can't seem to leave the connection no matter how many times you're given the signs, clear signs to get out. Even within you, there's something within your being that is saying, this is not right, this is not for me, I need to leave, I want to leave, right? But there's always that something pulling you back. And often the case can be karmic connections themselves can really pull in on you. They can, kind of, they see the binds or cords that attach them to you, because they themselves have issues with attachment and that kind of thing, right? And they have their own stuff too that they haven't healed through. So it's kind of like they're showing you your shadows, but they're excusing them at the same time. So it's kind of like you're not seeing them until your divine person comes along and shows you they're your full-on mirror, and they're like, hello, look at what you're doing to yourself. Because when somebody chooses their karmic connection, they are simply not choosing themselves. That's truly what's happening. So if you as a divine person feel like they're not choosing you, it's nothing to do with you, truly. Has nothing to do with you. If they give themselves every reason under the sky that they blame you for any kind of hurt and pain that they're experiencing as a result of meeting you, it's simply them not addressing their wounds beneath the surface. Don't get me wrong, there might have been things that you yourself need to apologize for, or maybe you acted in your wounded way, which often is the way. So it's kind of like you both need to take accountability where it's required, okay? But the point is that karmic connections serve a purpose, and it is massively to learn how to let go, to release, and to truly no longer hold on to what needs to no longer be cycling in your life on your soul journey. And that can be a really hard lesson to learn, especially if from a young age you've had to, I don't know, that you've experienced some kind of lack of love or some kind of abandonment or rejection, that kind of thing. It can be really hard to let go of something or someone who isn't, you might experience that abandonment with your karmic connection, but they will always kind of cycle through it and come back, let away. You know what I mean? Like, you could get away with it. They'll just accept this version of you that hasn't evolved. Yeah, and they'll be the version of themselves that haven't evolved. On that, actually, sometimes with karmic connections, if you and your divine person weren't kind of known to be together in any way, shape or form, because sometimes you can be, either way, it's fine. But if somehow a karmic connection finds out about your divine divine person, we'll come back to that, divine person, it's often the case, especially with wounded feminine energies, they will become a little bit obsessive over the divine feminine themselves. So it can play out in different, this is not always the case, okay, this is very specific, but it can play out that they will kind of start to want to, I don't know, I'm hearing maybe the divine feminine, this message or something, has a brand, because I'm hearing about colours, so the colour schemes or something, same hair, same clothes, similar habits, or start taking similar interests, that kind of thing can happen, right? You might already be quite similar in different ways, because, don't forget your divine masculine who's, interested in both of you, right, for a reason, in very different ways, I'd like to point out there. But it can be, it's just one of those things where divine feminine, it's not about you. You need to just come back to yourself, your alignment, to your connection to divine, and truly protecting yourself, cleansing, spiritual protection, especially if your divine masculine is still in those kind of loops and connections. Okay, 5 of Cups. Oh my God, 7 of Swords. If this isn't confirmation that I'm talking about what I'm talking about, 5 of Cups and 7 of Swords, okay? Yeah, I think someone's feeling a lot of regret over this karmic situation, and I think that I also feel like they felt a lot of loss over it. I think it's somebody who, when I said you get to that stage where you eventually look back and you think, oh gosh, no, that, your question's like, why would I do that to myself, right? Because you finally reached that stage and you understand yourself, you understand what was happening inside you. But somebody at the moment, it feels like they're still kind of sad. They're still kind of grieving, as I should say, grieving for something. However, this is getting them prepared for this beautiful forward movement. It's like I feel like I'm hearing limbo. It's kind of like they're in the middle of like this past kind of energy versus this desire to move forwards, the Fool. The point of this message, I believe, is that when you are in that situation where you know that there's a karmic situation taking place and so on, and it's triggering you, it's making you feel like, well, A, not chosen, B, an option, and 3, just really not valued. What's actually happening is that person, your divine person, is not choosing themselves by not choosing you, right? So often case it's the divine masculine who is in a karmic connection. There's always karmic influences around both of you in some way, shape or form. This is what when you meet each other, you activate like yourselves to see that and like get out of those situations, or just heal through yourself so you can actually see things clearly and release healthily, okay? But I do this is, I don't know why I'm starting to laugh. There's something, maybe someone's got maybe they mask their pain with humor or something. Maybe they're seeing things from a more humorous perspective or something. But there's really something here about the karmic energy is preventing them from choosing their inner divine feminine, because it's their own heart that they're betraying. Nothing to do with you, right? And I will say this, divine feminines, when you are in your heart space, you're not attached to your divine person. You're not seeking validation externally. When you're truly in your heart space and you're giving yourself that divine love that you have now connected to and exist to, because you're devoted to your divine purpose, to divine, and you are spreading that love outside of you to the people around you, pouring it into the world, that is when you are irresistible to your divine masculine, truly. Divine masculines, when divine masculines are not, they're revoking access to their energy. They are not allowing anyone or anything to pull them down into their animal body in such a way that they stay stuck there, right? When they're reclaiming their power and they're standing in their sovereign strength, able to really focus on their mission, have that purpose, and be disciplined enough to not let anyone or anything sway them off their divine path. You're irresistible to your divine feminine, truly. And I'm saying divine there very specifically because it's the wounded feminine and wounded masculine within that will become attached or just accept anything from each other as long as it's contact, right? But you need to be in your divine energies when you are truly in that frequency of being able to hold that divine love together. Just as I said, that the world, you know, there's something about this, it's like you create a whole new world together. Oh, Aladdin might be significant. It's already, this is, I don't know why, but it's kind of something emotional about that. So maybe when you come together, it's kind of like, you never know. Oh God, I've heard Heal the World as well there. The Earth song from Michael Jackson. You really are here to help on a whole new level. I'm seeing a lot of greenery. I'm seeing animals. It's really nice. It's kind of like you're seeing the earth as a place of light more than dark when you're together, whereas when you're in these other connections, like karmic connections, you're seeing more of the world in the darker place, if that makes sense. And you need to see both. That's what the whole point of the journey is, right? But when you're together, you can really move forwards, fast forward movements. Knight of Swords, you're seeing things differently. You see things clearly in such a way that you can kind of like your message here on earth, your purpose, you can really, I've heard like go 10 times like harder on it, right? It's kind of like, you know, when you come together, there'll be people watching outside. Just as I said that, the lovers came out. You know your divine person. You know your sacred union. No one and anything can tell you otherwise. It's just about you doing things in a way that doesn't throw you off your alignment, keeps you in your alignment so that you can be in your alignment together and you can stay in that together, because truthfully, neither of you will accept anything less from each other. Okay, so when you make that decision to truly choose each other, there'll be people outside looking in, right? But you'll be so busy, focused on creating the whole new world with each other, but also outside of you, the earth. Truly, I'm hearing new earth. Seven of Pentacles, yeah, that's that slow. You know how you have a slow burn? This is kind of a slow dimming. This energy of releasing this karmic energies, these betrayals, the pain, the past, the grief. I'm hearing like actual losses as well. Oh my God, and death at the bottom of the deck just says that. That's what I meant, okay? Yeah. I think that there's been, you know, I feel really, like behind the scenes, I'm being really emotional. Like I could literally just pour out with tears right now. So I don't know if this is like the moon that's had this influence on you. Judgment card with the Seven of Swords. There'll be some serious clarity coming through here. Serious awakenings. Divine has not been messing around. This is divine intervention. If someone has continued to cycle, betraying themselves, you know, I'm seeing also still kind of keeping a connection with somebody. Divine has not played around, okay? Might have been a child involved. There's been some serious awakenings, okay? There might have been recent contact or contact with this karmic energy is what I'm seeing. Okay. I think at one time you can, when you're in a karmic connection, you can really think that it's your dream come true. Like you're fulfilling like all of this. I want to say fulfilling fantasies together, but actually you're just cycling through trauma together, and it just feels so comfortable. So comfortable, even though there's something inside you that knows that this just isn't going to work. It's not the fulfillment that you truly desire from your heart space. It's not this Four of Wands energy. This is what you want to move towards. There's something about boundaries that's really important here. Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, boundaries is really important with yourselves, with each other, yes, but also just anyone, anything outside of you. Ace of Wands. Somebody definitely chose lust, is what I'm hearing there, truly. because they were choosing kind of to stay in their shadows, is what I'm hearing. It's like repressed trauma or something is what I'm hearing. So it's really the Fool. So there is kind of someone slowly being prepared for this new beginning, which is why that grieving process has to take place. So they're not still holding on to it. They are letting it go, okay? Page of Cups. That again confirms to me something about a child as well. But also I think that they're realizing that they were acting from a very wounded child, okay? They're not very good at communication. Ace of Cups. I think that this Divine Feminine, you're very guarded right now. And I don't want to use that word unless I actually mean it. So yes, boundaries is one thing, and very important. It's like being clear and precise with what you you are going to accept, right? Because you need someone to show up in the right way for you. Yes, there's a cup of love, and your love, Divine Feminine, oh my God, your heart space is beautiful, right? But there's conflict here. Five of Swords and the Queen of Wands, okay? There's conflict here, internal conflict. You feel like you weren't chosen in the past, right? Not even just not chosen, well, yeah, that's what it is. You were really not made to feel worthy, which is coming through for a reason. But I just feel really, I don't know, there's just something here. But things I want to make it clear that this is a Divine Masculine healing himself within. It's not a reflection of you. And when you heal through that, you'll see that, you'll understand that. That's why you can really step back and see things from a wider perspective, which is so important when you get to that space, because that's when you will have strong boundaries. That's when you really will know your worth. You're not just to be lusted after. You're not just to be, discarded after some kind of dispute. Divine Feminines, the more you are in your authenticity, not trying to be like the rest of the world, fully being you in your glow, in your power, the more you are focusing on yourself and giving your light back to yourself, the way more attractive you're becoming to this Divine Masculine energy, truly. Nine of Wands, and to yourself. You're seeing yourself clearly. That's like, that can take years. I want to make this clear. It can take years, this. People think that was just a few months here, a few months there. This takes years to truly clear through this Three of Swords energy. Heartbreak, it's not just something you get over. It's deeply in you. When you and your person first go through your initial phase, that separation feels like the darkest, deepest core of your soul is being broken into, truly. Your heart's tearing apart, right? That's there for a reason. They've triggered that and shown you that in there for a reason. Even though you might have been healing before that, especially Divine Feminines, but, Divine Masculines, not so much usually, right? But when you go through that, you really, you lose so much outside of you as well. Whether it's your job, where you're living changes, there's people around you that change, lots of things. You really have to start to become who you are now, but it does not come easy. It comes in absolute shattering of your reality, okay, strength. I think that people don't realise that, I don't know if it's the emotional toll taken on the Divine Feminine. I often talk about how Divine Masculines go through, I always say the trenches for some reason, so that must be relevant for somebody, but they really do. However, the emotional toll on the Divine Feminine, who then also has to transmute and process whenever her Divine Masculine is going through their own emotional purges, because you are now connected on that emotional center. When you come into you activate each other, right? There's this beautiful new strength though for this new energy. I feel like I lost my point there. I was meant to say something. Maybe you're feeling like that as well. Yeah, look at this Three of Swords and beneath it the Temperance card. Okay, so yeah, this has definitely taken time to heal through this heartbreak. This has really been embedded deeply in somebody's heart, this pain, right? But it's not even in their heart, it's the walls around their heart. They need to understand that. Because in their heart is pure love, truly. And it's just they've always been hurt and not been able to kind of express that, right? King of Cups, Death card, and the Ten of Cups, yeah. This is that kind of putting an end, High Priestess, to that constant cycle of, this constant new beginnings with this karmic energy, when it's just ends up being this cycle of just needing to end again. Do you know what I mean? It's just cyclic in nature. Someone's seeing things much clearly. They're seeing their own cycles much more clearly, and they're seeing what they want, the new chapter, much more clearly as well. So there's this need, I do think there's a need for Divine Feminine here to clear through this kind of feeling abandoned, feeling rejected energy, so that she does not then keep falling back to kind of this karmic energy of the past, right? Where, again, it wasn't about her, even though she was made to feel less than. But at the same time, this is what's helped her to really step into her power and say, oh my God, I'm not less than. Thank you very much, right? Page of Wands. There's going to be new action taken here. This Two of Wands keeps wanting to come out at the bottom of the deck, haven't said, but there is this new pathway moving forwards. And there is a lot of passion in this connection. Makes sense. There's no one and nothing like your divine person who you will feel in that way. Even if you are kind of that, I mentioned there was a sexual connection that was just like on repeat as well, and people thinking it's from the heart space. And sometimes, you know, you do, there's different kinds of love, right? It's not that you don't love the karmic energy that you're connected to, you have been, or whatever happened in the past. It's just the fact that the type of love you've known is not that divine unconditional love. It's been based off trauma from a childhood experience, yeah, which is what you repeat usually in your karmic connections. So it's just kind of the template of love that you've known, that you've not healed through to really access the deeper, truer love within. What do you need to release? That template of love that pulls you away from your true divine alignment. Because that's what happens with karmic energies. They're pulling you away, whether it's romantic or any kind of karmic connections. They're pulling you away from your divine alignment, okay? Communication is key. Prosperity lies ahead. So when you can't communicate with each other, this is when you can truly set the standards for both of for the union, basically. When you do come together, have faith in your dreams. I haven't seen that in a while. That's really nice. It's kind of like there's something about that's coming through with purpose as well. So maybe you're kind of, I'm hearing, locked in with something to do with your abundance path. Have faith in that. If something feels like it's falling away, it's for a reason. Everything is happening in layers, but don't let it, if it's triggering you, allow yourself to understand the reasons behind that, because there's a reason for that, okay? Hold faith in that vision ahead, truly. Luck is on your side. Oh, beautiful cards, because, you know, sometimes with the emotion that was coming through here, like, just, yeah, it's it can be easy to forget that, but you've cycled through those things for a reason. Yeah, you've made it this far. You realize what you've come through. My God, a time to give rather than take. Surrender to the divine. Big message for this, because often when it comes to, especially with the divine connection, you know, the whole point is surrendering to the divine. The whole point is accessing your divine purpose from your heart space, from your truth, which means you have to really look around and say, and didn't just say no, like not deny, just like call your power back to you and recognize, you know, a time for healing. Your truth now, not just what you've been told. You know, something that's coming through as well, divine masculines often kind of place their worth or just any kind of value on external gains, status, materialism, right? Divine feminine specifically, even if maybe she likes those things, if that is all he is valuing, she wants to see him being focused on his purpose. When he is giving his energy away, validating external energies, you know, not really coming back to himself, to his alignment, to his kind of what matters to him from his truth, his heart space. When he's doing that, that's when he's really calling her in, you know what I mean? Like she's gonna want to come closer, right? From that healed divine feminine energy. Not when you're kind of just stuck on external gains and external validation. So you truly have to heal through so much external conditioning that has been embedded in your mind, especially as, you know, this world, like a masculine operated world often. Cases, okay? Don't let the past hold you back. This is really important, because I do feel like, you know, it's so hard sometimes when you can feel like you were just, I feel like just, I'm hearing used and abused for a reason. It's actually funny because neither of you actually want each other to accept anything less than your divine self from each other, which is why you are so attracted to each other when you're in that divine energy within yourself, right? Because you're like, oh, I want that for me, like that's what I want to be, because you're seeing yourself reflected in each other. Remember, you're really inspiring each other to be this beautiful best self, which is, you know, what love is, right? Romantic feelings, your feelings are real and worth exploring. Confirmation, you will always have these feelings, right? But it's all about how true you're being to yourself, right? To your path. Divine feminine, you have to focus on your purpose, divine purpose you truly do. You have to stay in that energy, that frequency. You have to hold faith in knowing that your sacred union, even if you remove labels, remove faces, that kind of thing, you fully have full faith because you're connected so deeply to divine that your sacred union is already written, but you right now are focusing on getting yourself in your divine alignment, in your purpose. Honeymoon, okay, enjoying the bliss of holiday time together, truly. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. Reconciliation at the bottom of the deck as well there, okay? Those images might be important to you. I felt to really show those to you. I think that you both have, I just think you, again, reconciliation. I think that you both want to see the world together. You have this vision, these big kind of dreams and desires, and you want to do this together. This won't be for everybody. It depends. Confirmation that this is a divine connection for me, this card. True love, okay? This is the romance of a lifetime, of course it is. This is, the love you have for each other is nothing like anyone or anything else, truly. Release your ex. Those are the karmic energies that you both need to be releasing. Past life relationship. Let go of control issues. Unrequited love, okay? Another thing with the wounded masculine energy, and present in both of you, any of you, right? It's all energies that are present within us all, right? Control is, wounded masculine wants control, needs control. Instead of stepping back and allowing themselves to surrender because they're trusting in the safety that they're found within themselves, they're allowing themselves to process through their emotions, right? They don't need to control, they can surrender to divine, which was the message that came through. New love, and that's come out with the past life relationship as well, okay? Keep an open mind, okay? So there's what unfolds in its unique divine way, but I also feel like you two are not each other's usual type, if you will, which can often be the case. With this unrequited love, let's just find out, because I feel like this is kind of how you felt from each other. But don't forget, you were different versions of yourself as well when you first met. Engagement, your love life is ascending to a high level of commitment. So don't think that, I think that maybe some of your separation, that's what causes separation, thinking that, making this thing up in your head that these feelings weren't real or they weren't reciprocated. You were both incorrect. They very much were. You just weren't being true to yourself. You weren't being able to communicate that. You were in the wrong energies. Divine feminine would have overgiven. Divine masculine would have just continued to run away from himself, you know. So it needs to happen in that way for a reason, right? But the feelings have always been real. Love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. And the more you love yourself first, worth waiting for, the more you're going to really allow someone to love you correctly. It doesn't matter who they are, what their label is. You'll understand what that means. You'll understand when they need to take accountability, just as when you need to take accountability as well, okay? There is this energy of the past being released right now. Like I've said that at the beginning as well. Self-respect at the bottom of the deck. That's double confirmation. Truly. Especially, I think, divine masculines, the more you respect yourself, the more you're going to detach and disconnect from, heal through karmic energies and connections that you need to learn how to let go, and you know, and rewire your brain and your conditioning into you know, away from thinking that you just need to hold on to everything. That's attachment, unhealthy attachment, right? You're on the right path. Confirmation. This is the right path for you, both of you. I think that, you know, when you're going through this, you'll question it sometimes until you reach that point where there's no questioning. You're just fully aware, you surrender to it, which is a beautiful place to be, and you're getting there. Trust me. The person you're asking about is trustworthy. I love this card so much. That's confirmation, especially if you're doubting because of energies. Sense of humour, that came through before, remember, the laughing. So somebody does have something to do with their sense of humour. Maybe there's a Sagittarius energy present here, okay? Yeah, they are trustworthy. I think that's really important. The loyal energy, trustworthy. They're just doing what they need to do to process their soul journey too right now, okay? Guarded and protected. Both of you are, and so is your connection. Divinely so. Maybe you do connect to Archangel Michael, right? But that is something that you can absolutely do for you and for your connection. Ask Archangel Michael to help you with this situation. He is approving, okay? He is saying that's absolutely what you need to do. So it's like when it's not in your control, because you need to let go of the control issues, honestly, surrendering to divine and just asking for that help from above whilst you're also devoting to your divine path. I think people forget that, they miss that, right? It's so important here. Yeah, you're here for a reason. You have a divine mission. Yeah. Your inner guidance is real and trustworthy. Use your imagination and you will see the answer. Okay, so it's kind of like, I think something again there to do with your abundance path, because I did say something like something feels like it's falling apart. Just step back for a moment. You already know crows are going off outside. Yeah, and you'll know. Okay, shield yourself, protect your energy, protect each other, truly, even if it's just on an energetic level right now. Okay, this is a deep message. It needed to be for who it needed to be. There's something about, you're paying attention to the warning signs, but also where you're just creating warning signs because of the past hurts and betrayals, right? The more you remove your own masks, and step into your authenticity, the more that you can accept that outside of you, and the more others will know how to step to you with that energy too, including your divine person. All right, let me know if this reading was for you. Truly look after yourself. Sending so much love.